By the time the sun rose over Glenmorra of ancient Scotland the next morning, the whole village was in a rare frenzy. Beltane, the grandest day of the year, had come at last. From dawn to dusk, the glen hummed with life. The air smelled of roasted lamb, oatcakes, and sweet heather smoke. Children ran barefoot through the dew to bring in May branches, while the older lads rolled barrels of ale to the village green. The red-haired lass, Fiona MacLeod, was supposed to be helping her auntie decorate the maypole with ribbons. She was not. She was standing on a stool in the baker's yard, chasing a chicken that had escaped its pen. "Fiona!" Aunt Morag bellowed, ribbons clutched in her fists. "I said help with a pole, not chase hens like a madwoman." "I'm helping the hen find her way to the festival," Fiona said, diving after it. The chicken darted between her legs and vanished down the lane, clucking triumphantly. "You'll be the death of me," Aunt Morag shouted. Fiona straightened her dress, grinning. "Aye, but at least you'll die entertained." By midday, the green had transformed into a sea of color. Garlands of gorse and rowan hung from the cottages. Musicians tuned fiddles, drums, and pipes. A great bonfire, not yet lit, waited in the center, stacked high with pine and peat. The whole village had gathered. Men in tartan plaids, women with flowers woven through their hair, bairns with sticky fingers from honeyed oatcakes. And through it all, the music began to rise. Hamish O'Keen stood proud at the edge of the green, pipes under his arm, puffed up like a rooster at sunrise. His red hair caught the light like flame, and his grin could have charmed the boots off a bishop. "All right, you scoundrels," he called. "Let's show the next glen how Glenmorra dances. Strike up the reel of the heather bairns." The first notes soared, bright and fierce. Fiona, at the edge of the crowd, felt her feet twitch of their own accord. She'd promised her da she'd behave this year. No wild dancing, no climbing the maypole, no shouting down the pipers. She lasted roughly 12 seconds. Then she was in the middle of the square, skirts flying, hair loose, her laughter cutting through the music like sunlight through mist. The crowd whooped. The drummers quickened their beat. Even Hamish, pretending not to watch her, couldn't keep the smirk off his face. When the tune ended, Fiona curtsied, breathless, cheeks flushed, and someone thrust a mug of ale into her hand. She raised it high. "To Beltane! To Beltane!" the village roared back. The laughter rolled up through the hills, bouncing off the loch. The joy of it could have melted winter itself. As the sun sank and dusk painted the sky in purple fire, the bonfire was lit. Sparks flew, wild as fairies. The heat kissed Fiona's face. Drums began again, slower now, deeper. The heartbeat of the glen itself. Old Rory MacLeod raised his mug beside her. "A fine fire, eh, lass?" "Aye," she murmured. "Almost feels alive." "It is alive," he said softly. "All fire's alive. That's why we keep it company with laughter. Else it grows lonely." Fiona smiled. Her da was full of strange sayings, but she loved him all the more for it. The pipers began again, Hamish's tune bold and clear over the crowd. Couples joined hands, stepping and spinning in time. The air was thick with joy and smoke. Then, from somewhere beyond the loch, another sound answered. Low, slow, a second set of pipes. The notes curled through the air, colder, older, winding through Hamish's melody like shadow through sunlight. At first, folk thought it was an echo. Then the tone deepened, strange, haunting, beautiful, in a way that made Fiona's heart ache and her skin prickle. The dancers faltered. Hamish stopped playing, eyes narrowing. "Who's that?" someone whispered. "None of ours," said old Rory. His mug trembled in his hand. "That's no tune from Glenmorra." The mysterious piping rose again. Softer now, like a lullaby meant for the wind itself. The bonfire crackled louder, throwing sparks into the night. Old Rory made the sign of the cross. Saints preserve us. The piper o' the hills come calling. Fiona felt her breath catch. That's just a tale, Daw. Rory shook his head. Aye, and tales come from truth. They say he plays when the year turns, when laughter is loud enough to wake the dead. He lures the proud and the curious tae dance till they vanish with him into the mist. Hamish's jaw tightened. Well, I'll no have some ghost mocking my pipes. He lifted his chanter, set his bag under his arm, and began to play again, a fierce, defiant reel. The other tune rose to meet it. Back and forth the music went, Hamish's bright fire against that strange, mournful wind song from the hills. Fiona couldn't tell which was winning. The sound wrapped around her, wild and dizzying. Her heart thudded with the beat. Then just as suddenly as it had begun, the other tune stopped. The silence that followed was so thick, even the fire seemed to hush. Somewhere in the dark an owl hooted, soft and distant. Hamish lowered his pipes, breathing hard. Aye, he said, half to himself. That's what I thought. But his hands were trembling. Old Rory leaned close to Fiona. Mark my words, lass. That were nae echo. The piper o' the hills awake again. Beltane's laughter has called him down. Fiona tried to laugh, but the sound caught in her throat. The night felt too still now, the shadows too long. Somewhere far beyond the loch, the wind sighed, and for the briefest heartbeat, she thought she heard that otherworldly tune again, whispering her name. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe to Naratide UG for more stories. Tune in for Chapter 3, The Piper of the Hill, only on Naratide UG.